Binge Eating: The Complete Guide to Overcoming Food Addiction and Ending Binge Eating Disorder. Written by Krista Hoffman. Narrated by Michael Stura. Introduction. Thank you for reading this book. It is my sincere hope that it will answer all your questions on binge eating. The onset of an overwhelming binge urge would seem to appear from nowhere when I was affected by this myself. It would just appear out of the blue, and then I couldn't resist the need. It was happening already, and I hadn't even seen it coming. I just suddenly needed to eat. And when I say eat, I mean eat everything. Following the binge code, it usually takes 2 to 6 months for your binge urges to disappear completely. So, in the meantime, I want to give you a tool that you can use for any urges that may arise. It is referred to as the Zen 10 technique, and it will help you to resist acting on any urges. You may experience a binge urge, but you won't feel so compelled to give in to it. It will ease the intensity of those binge urges and make them much more manageable. Eventually, with time, following the program, your urges will disappear completely. The first thing we need to do, though, is to learn a little more about binge urges. So, what is a binge urge? Understanding this concept is fundamental to breaking free from binge eating. Imagine you're alone, bored, and feeling down. You had a stressful day, and there is food in the cupboard. But strangely enough, you have no urge or desire to binge on it. Would you binge? I'm guessing not. That would be like drinking 5 gallons of water even though you had no thirst or urge to do so. The point here is this. If you didn't experience an urge to binge, you wouldn't binge. It's the urge or craving to binge that makes you binge. Our goal isn't just to stop you from binging. It is to remove the urge and desire to do so completely. This is an important distinction because by eliminating the urge to binge, we help to ensure lifelong freedom. Some binge eating treatment methods teach you strategies to manage your urges to binge. For example, some programs encourage lifelong avoidance of potential trigger foods. The problem with this approach is that even though you may not be binging, you will continue to have a deep-seated fear of food. You will not be free. I would not call this real recovery. It is only maintenance. Chapter 1. How an urge leads to binging. You experience a strong urge to binge on food. This is a random, powerful urge to consume vast quantities of food. You have a strong emotional response to the call. You may panic in response to the binge urge. Oh no, here comes a binge. Why am I feeling this way? What is wrong with me? Or, if you already know that you are going to give yourself permission to binge on food, you may react to the binge urge with excitement. You are finally going to allow yourself to eat. Well, it's going to happen. I can finally have the release of a binge. I can just let go and have all the bad foods I've been craving. Or it could be both panic and excitement. Part of your mind wants to binge, and a part of your mind doesn't. Just this one last time. I'll make it extra big, the final binge, and then I'll never do it again. Your fight or flight response kicks in. These intense emotional responses instantly send your body into fight or flight mode. Fight or flight is a biological response that has evolved to protect us from danger. Your body and brain don't know the difference between an actual threat, such as being stalked by an animal that's about to kill you, and a perceived threat, like facing an emotionally extreme situation. They're the same thing as far as your physiology is concerned, and they induce the same response. Your body kicks into high gear by releasing hormones like adrenaline and cortisol. These chemicals surge through your body, increasing your heart rate and breathing, tensing your muscles, and constricting your blood vessels. You feel jittery, on edge, anxious, even excited. Fight or flight intensifies the need to respond to the binge urge. The incredible intensity of the fight or flight response is designed to provoke an extreme emotional reaction to make you act immediately. There is a good reason for this. If a lion jumped out at you in the jungle, you would want to respond quickly. It's an instinctive response. You feel you must react to the stress trigger immediately to survive. It's the same with your need to respond to the binge urge. Your brain is telling you it must be dealt with now. Your cravings for the energy-dense foods increase. In fight or flight mode, the body uses up an enormous amount of energy as your physiology goes into overdrive. It sparks the release of a group of hormones called glucocorticoids. The role of glucocorticoids is to replenish that lost energy by spiking your cravings for sugar and energy-dense foods and storing fat in your abdomen to ensure that you have enough fuel to survive future threats, so you can keep running from that lion. This intensifies your cravings even further, and these hormones stick around in your blood even after the threat is removed. Your brain goes into autopilot as you lose the ability to think logically or clearly. The part of your brain that's essential for the experience of emotions and perception is called the amygdala. During flight or fight, the amygdala gets hijacked. It's overrun in a neurochemical process that disables your capacity to access the part of your brain responsible for rational thought, your neocortex. That is why it's nearly impossible to think the situation through with calm logic. If you're in front of that lion, your brain doesn't want you to stop to remember the great plans he made about how to deal with this logically. It just wants you to run. The space to weigh up pros and cons, where you consider your options, is eliminated, and you find yourself reacting automatically without thinking about it. When you start binge eating, it's almost as if you turn into a robot and you are on autopilot. And you remember everything you read and how you shouldn't be doing that. But it's like at that moment, you suddenly stop caring. And the most important thing to you at that point is stuffing your face with food. Clara T. You cannot control this binge urge, and this leads to more fear. In reality, you have very little control over how the urge to binge makes you feel, how long it stays, or how intense it is. You may try your very best to control it. You could try yelling at the binge urge, screaming at it to go away, but it won't. You could try presenting the most compelling and logical arguments in the world against the binge urge, but still, this doesn't work. These things do not work because a binge urge doesn't respond to logic or emotion. Realizing you cannot control the binge urge can make you feel even weaker and powerless against it. So, what happens? More panic, more fear, more stress. The fight or flight cycle spirals around again. The lions keep coming. You blame yourself. At this point, you blame yourself. You think the fault is in your lack of willpower, your emotional weakness, or your defective personality. It perpetuates the feelings of powerlessness and defeat and makes you feel even worse. The only way you know to numb this feeling is to binge. You don't know any other way to deal with these intense emotions. Helplessness, hopelessness, fear, anger, anxiety, self-loathing, and that feeling of being unable to escape come to you. You haven't developed any other method for coping with seemingly unbearable feelings like these other than binging. So you give in and binge. A binge urge is a cascading avalanche of emotions, cravings, chemical responses, and natural reflexes. It's a lot to deal with, and it can all happen in a matter of seconds. No wonder you found it so hard to resist your binge urges. You may be thinking, well then, how am I ever going to escape my binge urge if I have no control over it? I'm doomed. Don't worry, you are far from doomed. Chapter 3. Take action. Take back your life. So, you've identified your emotions and are now working on understanding and potentially coming to peace with them. Now it's time for action, which admittedly can be just as hard as coming to terms with why you binge. It is because taking action to stop binge eating comes down to a simple choice. Do you or do you not want to stop binge eating? You've picked up this book, so there is some desire to stay. Now make a decision and keep on moving forward. Remember, you can do this. Jump-start your morning. The important thing to remember when trying to form any new habit is that you have to wake up with the right mindset. Putting it off and saying you'll take care of that after breakfast, or lunch, or next weekend will only help to enable the behavior you are trying to get rid of. So when you wake up, it's nice to not only have a particular mindset, but to have a plan. Instead of waking up and grabbing whatever food is in the cupboards for breakfast, plan your meal the day prior. Figure out what you would like for the entire day: meals, snacks, and dessert. Then, when you go out the door in the morning, you'll have had a healthy breakfast and be bringing the food you'll need throughout the day to work with you. This way, you'll avoid the random snack at coffee shops on the way to work and the vending machines once you get there. If your binge eating runs in a cycle of binging, self-shaming, and then punishing yourself through a lack of food, it may be a good idea to throw out your weight scale. Not having a constant reminder that you are not at whatever weight you want to be, and seriously consider if that is a healthy weight and how you are approaching reaching it, will help you to start the morning thinking about how you feel physically and mentally rather than how you look. Pay attention to whether you feel well rested, and if the movement feels like a chore, as well as how you regard yourself in the morning. Having compassion for yourself physically, emotionally, and mentally right from the start. This will make it easier to continue caring for yourself throughout the day. Another way to help yourself is to slow down when eating. Many who suffer from BED report that they eat uncommonly fast, which aids both the final consumption of food and helps to distract the individual from the problem at hand. So, next time you sit down to a meal, particularly if you are by yourself, try setting down your utensils after every bite. Force yourself to slow down, breathe, and digest your food. It may also help to notice when you are full and stop eating before the feeling becomes uncomfortable. It's also imperative to remember to forgive yourself. Sometimes you'll have a bad day. That doesn't mean you should plan for one. Instead, cheat days will do you no favors. But nobody is perfect, so don't expect yourself to be. If you slip and find yourself halfway through a bag of chips, then throw them out, forgive yourself, and start over. Eventually, through a lot of hard work, it will get easier. Eating healthier. It is often a dreaded topic. Many people detest the thought of switching out their white rice for brown. But this issue of eating in a much more nutrient-conscious way starts at a more basic level. The first thing to do is begin every week with a specific meal plan in mind. Try buying some cookbooks or going online to find inspirational recipes that don't seem foreign, but are still a departure from less healthy eating habits. Magazines like Bon Appetit and Cooking Light have excellent recipes that are both delicious and healthy. Jot down a few of these, attempting to choose a collection of recipes with the same core ingredients so as to avoid excess food that will go bad, like fresh herbs, or become a target for a session of binge eating. After you have selected your recipes, create a detailed grocery list. Be sure to specify what every item should be, so there is no room for questionable items, i.e., snack. If you don't do this, there is a higher chance that you'll grab a couple of articles because you don't either know what you want or you want everything. By replacing snack with blueberries, you may avoid grabbing 3 different chip assortments. However, if you get home and realize you have not held faithful to the list, then only throw the binging item out. And of course, always follow the cardinal grocery shopping rule. Never shop when you are hungry. Once you have done your shopping, set about prepping all of the food for the week. It should be done immediately after shopping. And you should give yourself a day to do it, usually a weekend. It may also be wise to have someone present while you conduct the shopping and cooking. Having a witness could be helpful in preventing a binging episode. It may allow you to place all of your concentration on the task at hand instead of providing an opportunity to binge eat. Try to make this ritual a fun event that you look forward to every weekend. Following completing the week's cooking, separate all of your meals into separate containers, label them, and then refrain from buying any more food for the rest of the week. If you hold true to this, it will help to space out food proportions appropriately, taking into account some nutrients your body requires each day. Later on in the week, if you feel the desire to binge, remind yourself that the only food in the house has been allotted to specific meals and that you cannot spend any more money on food for the week. Keep in mind that eating in a health-conscious way is not about losing weight, although it will certainly help you to do so. Rather, consuming healthy food is a crucial key to having a long and productive life. Substituting refined sugars for natural sweeteners, like stevia, can help to reduce the risk of cancer and diabetes. Upping the amount of fish you eat every week and reducing red meat intake will fill your body with healthy fats and oils without negatively contributing to cholesterol. If you are not sure how to change your eating habits, research diets such as the Mediterranean diet, which emphasizes healthy food substitutions and large daily quantities of fruits and vegetables. While changing your diet is a necessary recovery factor, don't be intimidated by the word diet. Modifications in eating habits are not about punishment and exclusion of foods, but the improvement of health through change. To motivate yourself to eat healthier foods, focus on trying new things and how the healthier foods will make you feel. Lastly, speak to a therapist about the changes you are making and how it may alter your relationship with food and yourself. Exercise. For many bingers, training must begin at a fundamental level. Since food binging frequently leads to obesity, it is important to treat the body gently. You may have the motivation to run 10 miles, but your body will collapse because it is not used to or cannot handle being put under that kind of stress. So instead, start with tiny things. Another way to start off the morning right in regards to exercise is to buy a small pair of dumbbells, 2 to 5 pounds, and place them directly in front of your bed, even to the point of putting them next to where your feet land when you're getting out of bed in the morning. This way, exercise will be one of the first things to enter your mind. Try to do a variety of exercises with them, whether that is sitting in your bed doing a few curls, or more advanced activities such as holding them while doing squats, or placing them on your stomach during crunches. Despite how it feels, your muscles, aided by a nutritional diet and plenty of water, will begin to strengthen, and eventually you will be able to move on to more advanced levels. Exercise also works wonderfully as a way to keep your mind off of eating. Again, it is not wise to trade one addiction for another, and extraneous exercise can certainly fall under that category. But practice can serve as another distraction. Instead of reaching for a box of donuts, go for a walk instead. While exercising can seem like an ordeal, it is important to remember that it does not have to be a chore. Many simple stretching exercises can be done while watching television, lying on the floor, sitting, or standing. Visit the link from Fit City Atkin in the footnote for tips. Here is an incredibly helpful last tip. Don't exercise alone. If you are someone who is used to a moderate amount of physical activity, but loathes going to the gym, consider signing up for a class with a friend. There are a million activities out there, from dance to self-defense, which can serve as an exercise your body needs. And while it can be difficult sometimes to work on fitness with a friend, especially if the friend is already immersed in physical health, you would be amazed at the power of obligation. Set up a time, say 3 days a week, in which you are scheduled to meet a friend and exercise. Whether that is at the park, gym, or home, you'll find it is much harder to avoid working out when you've already promised your time to someone than if you're at home alone and there's a good book on the table. Additionally, the encouragement you receive from being with a friend can be helpful. These positive emotions created by the support and knowing that you are doing something about your predicament may help to combat the feelings that lead you to binge. Step by step. It is far too easy to become dissuaded from the actual goal of recovering from bed, which is to be healthy emotionally, mentally, and physically, and instead focus only on changing one's exterior. This severe misstep can make a recovery even more challenging, and it is a mistake easily made when attempting a lifestyle change. It is due to the vast scope of recovery. When faced with the obstacles of overcoming bed, it isn't difficult to become overwhelmed and fall into a state of hopelessness. So instead of driving blind, come up with a step-by-step plan to help you on your way to recovery, and to build a foundation of support for once you get there. Know how far you need to go each day and where your checkpoints are. Find out what to do if the car breaks down, aka you have a relapse, and who to seek help from. Once you get to the foreign city, figure out how to survive there. Most importantly, though, remember that this game plan is merely an outline for your recovery. Tailor it to your specific needs, and make any and all necessary changes while your plan is in motion. Chapter 5. Treating Addiction and Cravings. One of the most challenging aspects of sugar addiction is handling sugar cravings. But sugar cravings are only one of the withdrawal symptoms of breaking your sugar addiction. Here is a list of other withdrawal symptoms that you may experience while changing your diet. Anger. Quitting sugar cold turkey can cause your mood to change drastically. You may find yourself angry or irritable for a few weeks as your body begins to detox from sugar. Coping with sporadic bursts of anger can be difficult, but it is important to remain sensitive to the changes your body is going through. Anger may also be accompanied by more mood swings. You may feel depressed, sad, or energized at random points throughout the day. But these symptoms are short-lived and should not impact your life significantly. Appetite. Detoxing from sugar will drastically change your desire. Because your diet used to consist of carbohydrates mostly, your body will need time to get used to running on protein, nutrients, and healthy fats. Some days you may feel no cravings or appetite at all, while other days you may be as hungry as a horse. Dizziness. Just like people with diabetes may become dizzy from a drop in their blood sugar, you may feel a little dizzy as well. Dizziness usually happens when more sensitive people cut sugar from their diet, but this symptom should stop a week or two after your change in diet. Fatigue. Carbohydrates provide you with short, sudden bursts of energy before bringing you back down to a lull. When you cut sugar from your diet, you may experience fatigue or lethargy the first few weeks of withdrawal. However, one of the greatest benefits of eating clean is longer periods of increased energy rather than short bursts of it. Flu symptoms. In many cases, people experience flu-like symptoms while detoxing from sugar. Achiness, headaches, even nausea may occur within the first few days of the sugar detox. These symptoms are not experienced by everyone, as each is affected differently. Sleep changes. Changing in your sleeping patterns may also occur during a sugar detox. You may enter REM sleep faster, or have slight insomnia. It may be harder for you to fall asleep because you feel anxious or aroused. Your sleeping patterns should become normal and healthy after the first week of detox. However, taking melatonin or drinking sleepy time tea may help. Shakes. There are cases of individuals experiencing shakiness when they dramatically cut down their sugar consumption. It usually happens when a person quits cold turkey. This symptom may sound severe, but should subside within a few days and is not a big deal. If you do experience shaking in the first few days of detox, it is a good indicator that you are consuming high amounts of sugar. 10-day fed-up challenge. There are dozens of different detox plans out there, all claiming to be the best solution for a sugar detox. They vary in length and in intensity, from 3 short days to a month-long lifestyle adventure. But one community-based program has helped over 67,000 people change their lives by detoxing from a sugar addiction. The 10-day Fed-Up Challenge. This simple 10-day challenge is to push yourself to go sugar-free for 10 days and experience the amazing benefits of a clean, healthy body. The first initial changes are small and easy. You cut out sodas and other sugary drinks like teas, fruit juices, and sports drinks. It includes cutting out artificial sweeteners like aspartame, xylitol, sucralose, and erythritol. This challenge is to help you to pay more attention to what you are putting into your body and becoming aware of all the added sugars there are in many of the foods you eat on a daily basis, from spaghetti sauce and ketchup to canned fruit and granola. This challenge will boost your metabolism and inspire you to live a clean and healthy lifestyle for good. Tips for a 10-day detox. 10 days may not seem like a long time, but every challenge has rough patches. Here are several helpful detox tips to help you have a successful first 10-day detox. Eat something nutritious. Because you are taking out a large component of your usual diet, you need to compensate by substituting in better foods. Add in plenty of vegetables, protein, and healthy fats. If you have a sweet tooth, sweet potatoes or goat cheese should help tame your cravings. Other good snacks are hard-boiled eggs, zucchini, hummus, or nuts. Drink lots of tea. Fresh tea is a natural beverage that can energize or soothe you. There are many fruit snacks that you don't have to sweeten to make them taste good. Plus, tea can help you fill up. Let yourself have a little bit of sugar in the form of fruit, of course. Indulge in naturally sweetened foods to help squash your sweet tooth cravings. Use spices to sweeten your foods. Cinnamon, vanilla, and peppermint are great spices, that can liven up your food and beverages without the extra calories. Drink lots of water. Drinking water can help you forget cravings and curb your appetite. Get up and move more. Exercise helps your body detox faster. Do not starve your body. And whether that food is healthy or sugary, binging is never good. Space your meals throughout the day so you never end up feeling too hungry. Chapter 6. Relation of intermittent fasting to binge eating. Binge eating disorder, BED, is a recurring act of eating large quantities of food quickly and to the point of discomfort. BED is a serious disorder. Serious, severe, yet fortunately treatable. Common symptoms are impaired motor functions, co-occurring psychiatric disorders, and contemplating suicide. Other symptoms. Recurrent episodes of binge eating. An episode of binge eating is characterized by both of the following. Eating alone due to embarrassment of eating so much. Feeling negative emotions about oneself after the eating. Disgust, depression, guilty. Feelings of distress about binge eating. The binge eating occurs about once a week for 3 months on average. Behavioral characteristics. Hiding food eating behaviors in secret. Eating alone, like in the car. Hiding the wrappers. Hiding, hoarding, even stealing food. Disruption in normal diet. It includes eating throughout the day without planned mealtimes. Skipping meals entirely. Taking small portions of food at regular meals. Developing food rituals, such as eating only a particular food group, chewing excessively, or not touching certain foods. Finally, engaging in sporadic fasting and constant dieting. Involving intense restriction and rigidness towards food and dieting and fasting. In other words, are too inflexible not to eat or go on diets. Have periods of rapid impulse eating to the point of feeling fuller than normal, and even then do not stop eating. End up changing their lifestyles and schedules to accommodate with new binge eating sessions. Emotional and mental characteristics. Flashes of emotions such as anger, anxiety, worthlessness, and shame after binges. Ironically enough, binges are initiated to try and relieve stress and numb away those negative feelings. The action is similar to drug addicts and alcoholics. Co-occurring conditions are present among binge eaters, like depression. People with BED may experience other conditions such as moodiness, social isolation, and irritability. Feelings of disgust toward their body size. Individuals with BED may have been teased about their body size growing up, want to keep the peace, and make an effort to avoid any conflict and intervention. Personality traits and thought patterns are believed to be associated with binge eating, such as rigid and inflexible all-or-nothing thinking, the need to be in control of everything, difficulty to express feelings and needs, tendency to be and have everything perfect, working hard to please others. Physical characteristics. Body weight varies from normal to mild to moderate or severe obesity. Weight gain may or may not be associated with BED. Therefore, it is important to note that while most people with BED are overweight, not everyone who is overweight has BED. All treatment should be evaluated for other risks, benefits, and alternatives. Decisions regarding procedures should be made after consulting with a trained medical professional and eating disorder specialist. If related benefits for binge eaters. Helps curb eating disorder through fasting periods. Can be a form of therapeutic healing. Slowly but surely replaces fat for muscle. If related risk for binge eaters. high stress, requires a lot of maintenance and attention, else falling back into secretive eating, may use feeding period to stuff as much as they can. Protocols and methods. We will go over plenty of what you should do for intermittent fasting in the later chapters. But for now, here are some general guidelines you should be aware of, especially for curbing your binge eating. Skip breakfast. Breakfast is considered to be the most important meal of the day. But would you be surprised that most of the foods you eat in the mornings are fattening? Meals that you associate with breakfast, cereal, muffins, yogurt, granola, oatmeal, contain a lot of sugar and oils, which may help you prep up for the rest of the day. But at the same time, it isn't at all healthy. Most athletes get their energy from the dinner they have eaten before. The more substantial the feast, the more power you get, and the more stuff you can do the next day. Dinner meals can also release endorphins, improve your sleep, and reduce the hunger needed for the next day. So, would you rather eat in the morning after a restless night, or eat before sleeping and feel ready for the day afterward? If you have to choose between skipping breakfast or skipping dinner, skip breakfast. And if you need energy in the morning, consider water. Remember that you fast when you sleep, too. Whether you are doing an hourly interval fast or a day-long fast with breaks following after, remember that your body is still fasting while you sleep. It goes without saying that you should make the most of this and sleep early while fasting. Not only is it healthier than staying up late, but you don't have to be conscious during those fasting hours. Back to dinners. When you eat a lot of food, you'll feel sleepy and want to doze off. That's another reason why having a dinner meal in your fasting plan is something to consider. Learn if you're starving or not. Real hunger is something you experience through the body and the brain, not the stomach. In this case, the brain can be your worst enemy when you fast. Because if you do it too much, you will feel weak or lightheaded. It may take some getting used to, but when you can tell if you're experiencing real hunger and not fake hunger, you can eat whenever your body tells you. Otherwise, ask yourself these questions. Am I thirsty? Try drinking some water, and the cravings may subside. Am I emotional or bored? Wait it out for 20 minutes, or go for a walk. Exercise can be a good distraction, too. Did I drink alcohol recently? If you're tipsy, your body is probably tricking you into eating again. Have I eaten my fill of protein today? Grab some. They shouldn't hurt the diet. Did I eat sugar, grains, and fried food? Probably not. It's just your insulin and blood sugar are unstable. Instead of eating, wait out the hunger. Have I exercised today? Again, it is a healthy distraction, so give it a try. Am I fasting too much? If yes, then eat. Try to stick to healthy greens, though. Use the fasting time to exercise. You can use your fasting time in any way you wish, but exercise, at least in moderation, is a good way to spend it. If we look back to our ancestors, the people that hunt big game all day, they would technically be fasting if not for the fact that they didn't have easy access to food. During the day, you're having small meals, small snacks. It's not sustainable long-term, but we know we can do it if we need to. Abel explained to his trainee, Kurt Morgan. When you look back to the way humans used to eat, we weren't eating 3 to 6 square meals a day. We were eating when we broke down camp at night, and were primarily built for fasting. Listen to your body. As cliché as it sounds, your body knows itself better than you do. So, if you feel something is wrong in your fasting, stop. Chapter 7. Intuitive Eating and Binge Eating Disorder. Let's begin by understanding what the binge eating disorder, or BED, is all about. According to the Mayo Clinic, binge eating is a condition when you frequently eat substantial portions of food without being able to control yourself. You might start to feel uncomfortable and overfull, but continue to eat. An important characteristic of binge eating is that you're completely aware of what you're doing. You tell yourself to stop. But the urge to eat is so overwhelming that you simply can't help yourself. You'll be surprised to know that many doctors put down BED to a psychological disorder also. The American Psychiatric Association published results of a study, the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders, DSM-5, in which they laid out specific symptoms that can help patients identify the disorders that they have. Symptoms of the binge eating disorder: frequent sessions of eating enormous portions of food, finding it impossible to control you and stop eating. Also, patients cannot control the helpings they're taking. Eating too fast. Eating despite being full to the point when you feel like you could explode. Eating without feeling hunger. Looking for privacy to eat because you're embarrassed. Hating yourself for eating and feeling depressed and horrified afterward by what you did. Worried about the binging. Having at least one instance of binge eating per week. However, do keep this one factor in mind. If you're combining eating with purging and inducing vomiting, so you don't gain weight afterward, that's not a sign of binge eating. Some people also take laxatives, so the food passes out quickly, or exercises to the point of utter exhaustion to burn off the extra calories. That's not a sign either. Chapter 8. Why binge eating happens. To overcome binge eating, your first focus should be on understanding why you do what you do. Let's talk about the common triggers of overeating. The next time you encounter them, you'll find it easier to deal with them. In the earlier chapter, we have discussed stress and anxiety and how it makes you overeat. However, many other factors induce you to eat too much. For instance, there's boredom. Let's see if you recognize this situation. It's a lazy Sunday afternoon, and you have absolutely nothing to do. You're alone at home and wondering how to spend the time. So you decide to catch a movie. Now, movies are incomplete without something to munch on. You reach for the popcorn, soda, nachos, and keep eating as you watch the film. By the time you get to the end of it, you have no idea how much you've eaten. Here's another situation. You're visiting your hometown after a couple of years. You drop in at the old ice cream place of your childhood and can't help walking in and ordering your old treats. Or you visit the old pizza place and visit to check and see how it's been. And you end up walking out with that great pizza just to feel like a child again. Let's try another. Your old friends are meeting up for lunch on the weekend after just ages. As you talk, laugh, and catch up with each other's lives, you end up having more to drink than you usually do. And let's not even begin to talk about how much you ate. Or remember that game you invited your friends to watch on your big screen TV? Can you remember how much beer and wings went around? Here's one more trigger that almost everyone is unaware of, and that is eating because the food is there. Do you often keep popping food in your mouth while you're cooking? Do you have a bowl of candy on a living room table that you just cannot resist as you walk by? And do you simply have to have those crunchy Doritos with breakfast? All this is eating for no reason whatever. How intuitive eating can help. By using the strategy of intuitive eating, you can control the binge eating you worry about. Before you begin, you need to remember that we have descended from a species that used to be hunters and gatherers. And since there was always the possibility the food may not be available tomorrow, It made sense to eat all you could when it was there. We live in a different world now where food is plentiful, and you don't have to stock up on calories to avoid periods of starvation, and possibly even death. That's what you need to teach your body. It doesn't have to prepare for the famine. So we come to the core rule of intuitive eating. Never adopt diet restrictions. Your body needs to learn that there's plenty of food so it can choose the ones that it needs and can tolerate well. On your part, you need to listen to your body and figure out what can keep it healthy. Keep watch on the kinds of food you digest well and those that make you sick. If some foods cause acidity, nausea, or make you feel uncomfortable, eliminate them from your diet. It is advisable that you work out for yourself what you should and should not eat, as against following preset diets that doctors and dietitians set for you. Trying to follow diets and rules will only make you end up breaking them, and then feel terribly guilty afterward. How to tell if what you're eating is good? As you settle into the pattern of eating according to the needs of your body, you'll wonder if you're doing the right thing. Chances are, your body mass index, or BMI, tells you that you need to lose weight. However, experts now advise you to check if you feel fit and healthy. They are increasingly accepting that rather than evaluate how much you weigh against your height, it is important to see if you can perform your regular activities without getting unduly exhausted and breathless. Do you feel energetic and able to perform your daily activities with ease? Do you fall asleep quickly at night? Do you feel happy and contented? In short, do you often feel like life is wonderful? If all this is true, then yes, you are making the right eating choices. Following habitual eating patterns will get you feeling great about your body and yourself. You'll feel healthier and fitter also. Your body will love the healthy and easily digestible food you give it. On your part, you won't always be dealing with the feelings of being deprived of what you love best. Denying yourself makes you have a hollow, empty feeling that ultimately translates into depression. And being unhappy is a major trigger for binge eating. So do yourself and your body a favor. Eat what you like and what your body likes. Feed it when it needs food and enjoy every bit of it. Let it make you happy, energetic, and ready to face the world. Conclusion. An excellent way to distance yourself from a binge craving is to dismiss it. The only power a binge urge sensation has over you is the authority and meaning you give to them. So give it no significance or meaning. Normalize it, ignore it, dismiss it, brush it off, detach yourself from the sensation. Be indifferent to it. Think of it as just another occurrence, like a sneeze or a shiver. The more dismissive you are towards your binge urges, the less power they have over you. It's just like the school bully trying to taunt you into a fight. Just let the bully be there, taunting you, but don't give the bully the time of day. Thank you for reading this book. I hope you will apply the acquired knowledge productively.